Hi, once again. You're working on your reading work for today, and this is based on page 608 in your reading book. So hopefully you've already read over that and then watched the video, uh, We Draw Conclusions. And now you're ready to work through this page with me, and I will help you fill in the blanks. This is a review skill for us. We've done drawing conclusions many, many, many times before this year. And so, again, this is a review. Just to remind you that drawing conclusions, it's forming a logical, well thought out opinion based on what you already know or on the facts and details in a text. Remember when we talked about what we already know, remember we called that schema. That's a great reading word to know what things we already know. So we take what we know, we take facts and details from something we read, and then we take those together and we come up with an idea that wasn't said in the passage. So the facts and details are the small pieces of information in a passage. So our directions here are to read the following passage. A passage is some paragraphs. And we're going to complete the diagram. A diagram is a picture. It's in below here, by finding facts and details to help us draw a conclusion about Martin. So we need to read really carefully here and look for some facts and details about Martin. On sunny afternoons, while his brothers and sisters were outside playing, oh, let me stop there. Why don't you read along with me as I'm reading? It will help you with your phrasing. That's a big fancy word called prosody. And this is a good reading practice for you. So let's read it out loud together. On sunny afternoons, while his brothers and sisters were outside playing, Martin stayed in his room, buried in a book about planets and stars. The ceiling and walls of Martin's bedroom were covered with stars. Martin made sure the plastic stars were placed in their proper constellations. For the school science fair, Martin spent weeks building a model of the solar system. The teacher said it was the most realistic model she had ever seen. She said it felt as if she were looking at the real planets. Martin told his parents that he wanted, above all, to become an astronaut when he grew up. So hopefully you read with me. We're finished reading. We're going to fill in some facts and details. Remember, about, can't see that, about Martin. I do that in school all the time. I push it up too high and then you can't see it. Why should at home be any different? All right, so let's find some facts and details about Martin. While I'm waiting a few minutes to see if you can find some, I'll pause a few minutes and then we'll start filling in some things that we noticed. So the first thing that you might notice is that he was in his room, and what was he doing? Well, he was buried in a book about planets and stars. What does that really mean? He was buried. That's a figure of speech. He was buried in a book. You're right. That means he was reading. So Martin read books about planets and stars. So that would be a detail. Martin read books about planets. Again, these are my smushy pens, and stars. So we know a little bit about Martin, that he's reading books about planets and stars. That might give us a little idea about Martin. See if you can find something else in his room. Yeah, I saw something about him putting plastic stars on his ceiling in his bedroom, on his walls. I have to tell you a funny story. When Benjamin lived here at home and was little, he glued plastic stars into the room I'm in now. And we didn't even know it for the longest time because they glow in the dark and we were never in that room in the dark. But this reminded me of him. So he put plastic stars on the ceiling. So Martin, I'll put it over there. I don't know why I put it there. We can keep it number 3. He put plastic stars in his bedroom in constellations. So again, we're just looking through this passage and finding information about Martin. All right. When you're finished writing that, look up and see if you can find another fact and detail about Martin. And it doesn't matter where you put the details in which box, because they're all details about the same story. So it doesn't matter where you do it. That's why I accidentally wrote it in there, and I have no idea why I did that. I'm looking up really quickly, and I see that he wanted to become an astronaut. That's a really great detail. And we don't have to say Martin anymore. We could say he wanted to be an astronaut when he grew up. So that would be another good fact about Martin. All right. When you finish reading that, we have one more detail to find. Look up in there and see if you can find something else that he did. And if I'm finding something that he did, those are verbs. So here, he was building a model of the solar system, and he did it for the science fair. So Martin built, oh, I can't spell. Let me erase that for you so you can see it a little bit better. B-U-I-L-T, built a realistic model, or he just built a model of the solar system. Okay, so now we have all these facts about Martin. I'll give you a few minutes to catch up. And you know, the whole great thing about these videos that you're watching is that you can stop and pause if you need to catch up to me. If I'm going too fast, you just pause the video and you can play it back until it gets to where you're ready to go on to the next step. So the whole purpose of this lesson is for us to find out the conclusion. What do we know about who Martin is? Who is he? Um, well, he reads books about planets and stars. He built a model of the solar system. He put constellations on his walls, and probably ceilings like Benjamin did. And he wanted to be an astronaut when he grew up. So what does that tell me about who Martin is? Well, I can say without a doubt that Martin is very interested in space and astronomy. Astronomy is a really fancy word for looking at the planets and the stars. And, so I'm not giving you exact words from here, but I'm taking all this information and giving myself a good sentence about who Martin is. It doesn't say up here that he's very interested in space and astronomy, but it gives me all these clues, all these details to help me figure this out about Martin. So that's a review on doing the skill of drawing conclusions. Hope that helped.